Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Scribo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. The following video is a video of Denise Roberge, Reverend Denise, and myself doing our high tea. I just wanted to do this little video before the video because at the end of the video, um, I lost my internet connection because I lost my electricity. So the end is a little bit sort of cut weird and short, and then Denise is talking, and then she stops. So I just kind of wanted to warn you. I mean, she says it's all good to hear, but I just kind of wanted to let you know. So I hope you enjoy our latest high tea. Today we speak about grief, something I think we can all align ourselves to. How we deal with it, how we work through it, collective grief, personal grief, and holding space for those in grief. All right, guys. I hope you enjoy it. Talk to you soon. Take care. Namaste. Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. I'm here with my good friend, Reverend Denise Roberge. Hello, Denise.
Hello, Vicki. How are you?
I know you guys have been waiting for this. It's another high tea with Denise and Vicki.
Hi,
So,
everybody.
so we kind of are winging this one today. But one of the main issues I think that we're all sort of dealing with at this time is the issue and the feeling of grief. Denise just lost a very good, an old, well, the woman wasn't old, but they've known each other for a long time. Friends, they just had a
Yeah,
memorial.
42 or 43 years.
Yeah, that's a long time to know
Yeah,
somebody, and if you're with somebody for that long, you really know their heart. Otherwise, you wouldn't be with them, right?
right. Right.
So Denise has been dealing with the loss of a good friend, but you were just saying, as we were discussing before we got on, that the people around her um, held you they allowed you the grief, they allowed you to mourn. They didn't try to fix anything. They just sort of supported you in the feelings that you were having.
It was a really beautiful experience. I mostly don't feel sad that my friend left. Like, most of me is not sad. It was her time. She was at the end extremely trapped as a human being in her body, and her body wasn't doing anything the way she wanted it to be, and she was miserable, and it was a big release for her. And most of us felt that. We felt like, oh, she's now in her natural state, and the people around her, she's such a high vibrational, incredibly loving woman, that, and her husband as well, who I've known for 50 years, that there's just light all around her all the time. So anyone who's the least bit sensitive or psychic, most of the people are still talking to her as if she's still on the planet and getting responses. Could I share an experience that was really cool?
Sure.
Hugh, her husband, and I were sitting on the front porch. Oh no, this time we were sitting in the kitchen. There was another thing that happened on the porch. And I have this little boo-boo that I've been dealing with off and on for quite some time on my leg, for months, really. And I said, well, I'm just going to keep at it. I don't know. It'll go away one of these days. And because he was helping me change the bandage. And he said, well, before we go any further, why don't you ask Terry? Because she was really great with her healing herbs and stuff like that. And I said, oh, all right. So I tuned into Terry, and it's instant. The connection is instant with Terry. I don't have to search. It's just, she's there for the people that are around her. I get almost everybody says that. I just think, and she feels like she's here. So she said, what I thought I heard was palm free. And I said, Hugh, what's palm free? And he said, calm free. It grows all around my yard.
Yeah. Yeah.
It grows all around my yard. I'm going to make you a poultice. So he went out, picked some calm free, and made a poultice, and my boo-boo was healed by the next morning.
Wow.
Yeah.
Awesome. Wow,
So
that's wonderful. I love that
we still
story.
do what we love to do
Right. We
when we
just
no
don't
longer have a
necessarily
body.
have a body doing it. Yeah.
Yeah, that was a beautiful thing. It was huge for me to see that happen. Like the communication was consistent and constant, and never really ended. And the feeling of her presence never left. I did have, on Sunday, I did have an experience, a grief experience where I started to sob. And I sobbed and sobbed. I just, got it out, whatever was left, because one does miss a person's physical
Yes.
presence. There's a certain element of the physical presence that's certainly lovely, and you can touch them, you can kiss them, and you can hug them, and you can cook for them, and they can cook for you. I mean, there are things that are going to change because someone's not there anymore. And I was around a lot of people who were processing grief and being an empath. At the point that it switched for me from joyous, like everyone celebrating her life and playing music and smiling and chit-chatting. And for me, it changed. I was in this huge group of people. It was like 50 people in this room. And all of a sudden I went, oh, I felt really closed in. And I think what happened is that I wasn't expecting it. I inadvertently picked up the room's every piece of sadness that was in the room, as well as my own. I got in touch with my own as well, of course. I mean, I was vibrating that. I wouldn't have attracted it otherwise. So I had a big sob, and it was a relief. It felt like something that was built up that needed to come out. And after it was over, I was exhausted. I was actually exhausted for a couple of days, still coming back. But the love in that room, the people that saw me crying came up, and his children and his friends and people that are becoming my friends now, because I've been up there for fairly often lately. And I say they're up there because they're a couple hours.
They're north of her.
They're north.
They're not in heaven yet.
No.
It's a little piece of heaven.
But it is a piece of heaven.
In the woods.
These people vibrate so high. They're all healers and yoga people and teachers and nurse practitioners who only deal with holistic remedies, and herbalists and musicians, artists, like really creative, soul creative kind of people.
Right.
I love this community, and they hold each other and they carry each other. And I feel like I'm in another dimension when I'm there. I think that experience, because I've had that feeling here in my house and in my neighborhood, and
right,
at certain events or with certain clients, certain situations, I've felt that expansion, and knowing it's the feeling of being in another dimension. It's hard to expand. It feels like you're big. You become big.
What, in my experience, not necessarily in the situation of grief, and the fact that you all lost somebody, that binds you as well, losing somebody special to you. But even just when you find a group of people that feel like your tribe, all of a sudden your energy body just expands, and
Yes.
you're like, "Ooh, I found my tribe." And when you're in that energy for a period of time, you really are sort of walking between the worlds in a way.
We were walking in between the worlds and crossing over into the next dimension. I really feel that there was a lot of fifth dimensional people there, and it felt like you couldn't hear anyone's footsteps, and like everyone was of light. It felt very light most of the time until it got crowded, and that's when it felt dense to me. When the bodies were pressing up against each other, almost, it was that's when the density happened, and that's when I flipped into my human self and had my human emotions. Right. So it's all good.
Yeah,
it's all good.
So I'm thinking about the fact that you've lost a good friend and how difficult that is.
Mm-hmm.
That was a sense of relief when she passed, because she had suffered so much. So there's that kind of loss that we process. You're never quite ready for people to leave, but at some point everybody's going to leave.
Right. Part of the cycle.
Right. I think that a lot of people are dealing with grief because of things that happen suddenly and unexpectedly. And
Mhm.
that's another kind of incident where grief comes up, but it's, there's,
That's sort of traumatic grief.
right, right,
It's trauma when something
right.
happens very suddenly.
Or very suddenly, and
Yeah.
especially if it's against, if it's when you see children, right? When it, like we see what happened in Texas, or we see
Oh
what
yeah.
happens in Buffalo,
Yes.
or we see these sort of mass, it's to me it's a tragedy on so many levels, but one of the things is the waste of potential, the waste of the possibilities of what could have been. And I think that that's something that's very difficult to come to terms with.
It is for some people. It is for many people. I have to say, when one would raise their vibration high enough and see from a different perspective, from a I don't mean higher and lower as in a hierarchy. I just mean lighter. Let's call it lighter rather than higher.
Less dense or broader or
Broader, a
bigger, or
broader,
maybe bigger picture, right?
right? Bigger picture. When you look at it from a bigger picture, where I find God or love or healing in a tragedy, and this is how I process now the things that go on. First of all, I try not to pay too much attention. I like to know what's going on to a certain point, and then I'm done. You know what I mean? I haven't read everything there is to know about all the Texas shootings, and I know about it. I know enough. That's how I feel. I watch the news like, okay, I know that. I'm shutting it off now. And I know kind of what to pray about or who to send energy to, or that's all I need to know. Is there a part I can play in this to help? If there is, that's the point of news for me.
Right.
It's not to wallow, it's not to torture myself, although I have been known to do that. A few years ago, when a certain person became president, I did torture myself a bit, but
I think we all tortured ourselves.
yeah.
But I think that was really part of the whole lesson with that.
Oh, the
I
beginning, yeah,
mean,
the beginning of a whole new lesson for us. Not really
I
a new
mean, it was
lesson.
it was it was it was suffering on a very high degree,
Mhm.
constantly, to get to a point of having to just realize that you yourself don't have that much control over what,
It's a
kind
big
of,
lesson in having no control.
you have you the only thing you really have control over is your own responses to things, and
Your
that's
own
always a
reactions.
choice. Sometimes it doesn't feel like a choice.
Mhm.
Sometimes when there's a situation where you feel like there's an injustice, or
Mhm.
and the like, but we still do have a choice. And in our deepest grief, I think, for me, um and I can't say I mean, I've lost my dad, I've lost my sister. Those were very difficult losses for me.
Mhm.
Um, I haven't had like somebody taken away suddenly. My dad sort of, but he was 83. So, I mean, he
Right.
was, so you expect at 83, like maybe something could happen,
Right.
I mean, it's just like, it's not as much of a shock as it is, if a child passes or something tragic happens like that.
If you don't mind, I'd like to say something about the loss of young people or children. I've been studying, I've been studying this stuff for a long time, and one of the things that resonates with me, and I really been experiencing this knowing in my life, and also studying it for a long time, because I was born a highly reactive person. Everything pushed my buttons. Everything. If I was going to be sad, I was hysterical. I couldn't just be sad. I had to be
You were
hysterical.
the you were the button girl. You
Oh
had
my God.
every button there was to push.
I had them all. I had all the buttons. And part of my life's work has been to learn how not to be triggered by everything that goes on around me. And it's been quite a long process, I have to say. It's not easy to learn how to be not so reactive. But in my non-reactive state, which I'm in a lot of the time now, not all the time, but much of the time, I can look at tragedy, I can look at death, the passing of a loved one, or other types of the horrific things that happen on the planet. You have a question?
No, I'm trying to focus myself. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Um,
Technical issues.
I have learned through some of the studies that I've done that when a person actually leaves their body and releases the connection with the body, that it's always a pleasant experience. It looks awful to us because we're in linear
Right.
thinking, we're in analytical thinking, and we think, what a horrible tragedy. And we put ourselves in there, like, what if that was my son? Or what if that was me? And we make it really personal. And that's where the triggers are. When we make things really personal and say, what would I have felt? Oh my God, like we push our own buttons. And we don't have to, because in reality, the people that are dying aren't suffering. They're really not. They might suffer for a half a second. And then then the angels and all the guides and all the love from the universe swoosh in and just carry them off. And they go into another state of being, which is certainly less stressful and painful than the one they were in. So when major tragedies happen, those people pass very easily. The angels are all around them and the spirits are all around them. There's help. They are getting help. I don't have to suffer for those children. And I do not have to suffer for them. I can't say that I don't, because I do. On occasion, I do. I'm not always able to reach this perspective, but this is the perspective I aspire to. The people that are left remaining, I would want to tell them that the person that has passed or the people that have passed are so peaceful and in such a better state right now. And that's the state we will all be in when we pass over. And your human feelings are absolutely normal and natural, and feel them all and take them to the nth degree. Do whatever you got to do with feelings, because that's how we are. We are emoters. Human beings are emoters. Nothing wrong with feelings. If you could also at the same time recognize that that person's not gone, that this energy doesn't die, love bonds don't die. Those love bonds are eternal. The person isn't really dead. The body has passed, but the person isn't. The being isn't. The part that animated the body is still alive, is still always and forever into eternity alive in some form or fashion in another dimension. And that is only comforting after one has done their grieving, I assume. I imagine that doesn't come instantly for most people, although it always has for me. I don't know why I've always accepted most deaths with equanimity. And horror, I go, okay, how can I help? Who needs light? That's how I respond now. And I send light. I send light to the people that still remain, because that's the saddest part for me, is the people that have lost the people that have died. They're all right. They're fine. They're happy. So how do we switch from being in grief and overwhelming sadness, which is certainly a normal human condition, into learning how to communicate maybe with our loved ones, into learning about, that's why mediums are so popular, because it's really hard for many people to understand that even though the body is dead, the person isn't. So when they go to a medium and the medium gives them a message from their loved one, it's so soul comforting, it just comforts them all the way through, to know that they're still alive. So I value like the work of Roland Comtois, for example, and other great mediums who are running around this planet comforting people when they're in great loss and great sadness, helping them to understand that life is eternal and love is eternal and bonds are not broken and relationships are not broken. They continue to exist if we choose to focus our attention in that direction. If we don't focus our attention in those directions, then we don't get that experience because we're blocking it, which is also human and not to be criticized and not to be judged. It is how it is, and everyone has a different approach to how they work through things, and it's all good. There is no wrong way to grieve. I'm giving some suggestions to people that need help grieving, and by
Right.
saying, know that they are okay. And if you're not okay, feel what you got to feel. Get help if you need it. You know, talk to people if you need it. Go to a medium if you think that would comfort you, because mediums are very healing. They're so. I mean, you've seen it. You've seen Roland with me. We've done Roland Comptoir events. How many times? You know, many, many. And the people that hear from the exact words from their loved ones, they're like, oh, he really is still there. He's really okay. And at first they get shocked and they cry and stuff, but they leave with a sense of, my son is still here. My husband is still here. My father is still here. Whoever it is, still here, still in my heart, still existing on some plane that I can reach. I can learn how to reach. If I don't know how, I can learn that. And mediums are great teachers of that.
Right. Right.
So that's, I am all for feelings. You got to feel it to heal it. I hope no one feels that I'm saying, oh, don't feel what you feel, because you have a right to feel what you feel. I'm blessed. The first time I had a major loss, I was 8 years old, maybe. I don't know, maybe. I had 2 losses as a young child. And the first one was my Uncle Phil, he was an elderly gentleman in the neighborhood, and we used to go rock collecting. And we would come back and open up all the rock books and identify them and glue them on cardboard papers. And I learned so much from that man. He was a wonderful friend. And of course, today it would have been considered inappropriate, but it was not inappropriate. There was nothing inappropriate about it. He was an honorable gentleman. And my mother came to me one day and she said, honey, I have some news. And she was looking like, I said, what happened? And she said, Uncle Phil went to heaven. And I said, oh. And I thought about it for a minute, and I had enough religious upbringing to roll it through my spirit sense of religion, spirituality. So that's what I did. I stopped, I thought about it, and I said, so that means now he's with God, right? And she said, absolutely. He is with Jesus and he's with God, because I was raised Roman Catholic. And they love him and he's being loved. And I went, good for him. Isn't that nice? I'm getting tingles right now. Thank you, Uncle Phil. He's here.
Yeah, of course. I was going to say he's here.
Yeah, he is. Bring tears to my eyes. I love him so much. It's a nice teary thing.
Yes.
Not a sad teary
I
thing.
understand.
Thank you, Uncle Phil. So I don't know why the first time I experienced death, I felt that way, but I did. And I didn't really grieve him. I missed him when I walked around the neighborhood. I was like, I guess I won't see Uncle Phil today.
Right.
You know, and I felt it. I felt a loss, but I didn't go into deep grief. And then when my meme died, I was very young. And I cried because she was like, I don't know, she was like a mother to me. She had a big bosom, and I would bury my head in her bosom, and she would cook for me. And I don't know, and she wasn't going to make hot chocolate and English muffins or toast for us anymore on Sundays. And that's what I was like, oh, who's going to make toast and hot chocolate, you know?
Yeah.
And I kind of knew she was always there. And I told my mother, oh, Meme went to heaven. She was such a good lady. She went to heaven. Because, of course, at that time, I believed in heaven and hell. And so it was super, like, comforting for me to go, oh, yeah, she's in heaven. I knew my Meme was in heaven. I knew Uncle Phil was in heaven. So that was comforting. I have a new idea. I have new cosmology and belief system now. But that always comforted me. So if we think of heaven and heaven isn't a place, it's a state of being, it's a dimension, it's an energetic frequency, it's not a place. But if we want to think of it as a place, that helps. That's okay. We can think of it as whatever we want to think of it as. It's all good. So how have you dealt with the tragedies and the multiple, however many awful, the shootings and the losses that you've had in the last few years and such? How do you go through it?
Well, it is, I look for the signs, I communicate. I see a butterfly, I see a yellow swallowtail, I know it's my dad. I see a
Oh,
monarch, I know it's my sister. You
that's
know,
so
I
nice. I
see
love that.
my sister was born on 9/11. Every time I see 9/11 on if I look at my the clock or or my phone and it says 9/11, I know that it's a message from my sister.
Mm.
So I have my ways of communicating
And
with
they have
them.
their ways of letting you know too. And it does work both ways. It does work both ways.
It does.
Absolutely.
There's the probably the most profound loss for me was the loss of my dad. And
Mhm.
that was 2004. So it's 18 years ago. And it's in its way, it's still fresh, but I feel like he's really here anyway.
Mhm.
Like, I don't feel a separation from him. Again, in the beginning, it's the loss of the physical self.
Sure.
I used to love to look at the back of his hands. He had like, old man hands with freckles and stuff. And he just had, I loved looking at his hands. Like I was in love with my father's hands. So that I missed, I missed being able to hug him and squeeze him, and because he was kind of a very reserved gentleman, and I would be the one who would go over and give him a hug and he'd get all red and it'd be like that. And he finally like got
But he
comfortable.
let you do that,
Of
even though it
course,
might have been
I
not
was
his
his.
nature. He learned how to embrace that in you. That's a wonderful thing.
Yeah, no, it's funny. I was thinking about him yesterday and and even remarking to Michael how much my father really loved me. I think that um well, first of all, he adopted me, so he wasn't my biological father,
Mhm.
but he was definitely my spiritual father and my protector and all those things. And you miss them, but you take all the lessons that they teach you with you too. I mean,
Yes.
he was a I used to complain to him when I was in chiropractic college, even college, and I would say, Dad, all I do is study. All I'm doing is, I never get to go out. All my friends are going out. They're going to concerts. I was always like a poor student. Couldn't go anywhere. I had so much studying to do because I was like a science major. And he said,
Poor student, I doubt that. You have a brain like a steel
oh, I
trap.
had a great brain, but I had a very, very small wallet. When I say poor student, I'm talking about,
Oh, poverty stricken.
macaroni and cheese and
Oh,
hot
I get,
dogs with,
I get
water.
that.
Remember that? Remember those
Ah,
days?
yeah, ramen noodles.
Rob-
Yep.
Peanut butter and jelly. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah. The first time I ran out of peanut butter, I thought it was the end of the world. But anyway, um, but you learn and you take it with you, and
Hmm.
they never really leave. I mean, that is the thing. And when we see these tragedies, we feel them collectively. It's very, very difficult.
It is.
It's been a very difficult couple of years, not just
And
with.
part of the as a collective, what we're facing is the fact that America is the only country that has chronic mass shootings. So it's a collective issue, not just an individual issue. And what's going on? Why is this allowed? I mean, how is this happening? Why is this happening? What can we do about it as a collective, as a country? And I think I haven't been, when I'm in New Hampshire, I barely get any phone. I mean, sometimes I can get the phone, sometimes I can't. So I'm not in touch with anything. But before I left, I heard that Biden was going to sign something into law of banning assault weapons or restricting the use of them or something. Do you know about that?
um there was some changes in some sort of federal guidelines.
Oh,
But there's still, I know New York just, the New York State just passed a law that you can't get an assault weapon until you're 21. So the states are doing what they can do. The states that care to do anything, right? Like the states like Texas aren't really doing anything
no.
but obfuscating. But I really feel like, I feel like when Sandy Hook happened back in 2012, it was such a shock.
It
It was
was.
just beyond our comprehension
It
that
was.
in America, like that there would be this murder of children. The
Mhm.
only place, the only other places that I've heard of like murder of children like that was in Pakistan. There was
Mhm.
there and in Russia or Georgia,
Mhm.
maybe it was.
And of course,
There,
during the Holocaust,
well, I mean, recent
recent
history,
past.
right?
Yeah.
So, so this sacrificing of children to me is so pathological, and
Barbaric.
it's it's women and children, like you kill the children and make the women have children to what, to do what do you, for what ends, right? So it just, I feel like this last, the Uvalde shooting, because it was so connected in its way to um, the shooting in Newtown, Connecticut. There were so many commonalities.
Mhm.
The age of the gunman, the fact that he attacked, little children that they can't even identify. They needed DNA to
Mm, mm,
identify.
mm,
I mean, this
mm,
is like,
mm.
oh, these are babies. Like, what did they do to deserve being gunned down and mowed down? They did nothing. They're the
Can we
innocent.
talk about that for a minute? I
Well,
want
let me
finish.
let me finish my thought, right? So I think that there comes a time in our evolution when a group of people sacrifice themselves for the good of all of us. And I feel like that was true of, that's probably true of all the people who are shot, but especially the children,
Mhm.
in these ways where they're just living their life, doing their thing. To me, it seems like a real war on children and on women, because in Uvalde it was women. In Buffalo, it was mostly, in Uvalde it was children. In Buffalo, it was mostly women, grandmothers, that were killed, and a couple of men, because the women will go on Saturday and do their but I think that sometimes we come in with the purpose of waking people up, and whereas it doesn't necessarily take the grief away or the sense of loss, I think there is a higher purpose to these things, and I think that on some level it's the only place we can really find any sense in it. You
Mhm.
really have to go up a few levels before you can see a big enough picture where
Mm.
stuff like this makes sense.
Yes, yes. Um, Overall, in general, I do believe that people come with at least a loose idea of what it is they want to either teach the world or experience in the world or experience in general or to help certain people out. And then when that is done, they and sometimes I believe that's true, that these children are sacrificing. If we look at it from 3 dimensions up or 2 dimensions up, not from a human perspective, but from a more, higher level, lighter level, a more light-filled level, we recognize that as sad as it is and tragic, and it is as in the human, to the human eyes, they volunteered to help with a cause. And God bless and Goddess bless and universe bless the children that came here to teach us about assault weapons and to teach us about misogyny and to teach us about what we're not doing as a country and what needs to be done as a country. And they gave the ultimate sacrifice and to help the world see the underlying pathology and to start to work toward changing it. It's a big deal. Sometime I knew a little boy who died at 8 years old of cancer, and he was quite a teacher. Everyone loved this boy. This boy was very light filled. He was an amazing person, and
He's the one that used to come through and Roland all the
he
time, right?
all the time.
The little blonde boy.
Well, he came through the day of his funeral. I went to his funeral. The day of his funeral, I did that later that morning. I did a radio show with Roland Comtois, and Roland just stopped and he went, A-D-N-E. Wow, I don't know why. I don't know. All these letters are coming to me. And I said, it's Aiden, A-Y-D-E-N. He said, okay, all right. And Aiden came through and gave messaging over the air, which the day he died, he was a holy soul. This boy was, he wanted to tell everybody that how good he was. That was his message.
And I think that
I'm good. I run now. I'm happy. I've got everything I want here. My legs work. I'm not stuck in bed. I love it. I run as far as I want now, and my legs work. I got my legs back.
yeah,
He's a
I
big
think
joy and hope, you know.
I think that, you know, these people, these souls who depart, especially in these tragic ways, or young souls, or, you know, against the natural order of things, we could call it, right? They really are the bridge. They are the bridge for us. They because we love them, and they're on the other side. The love gets bigger,
Yes, it
and
expands.
and
All contrast expands love. All contrast does. Every death and other things, everything that we go through in life that's difficult, if we can stay aware and awake and do whatever we feel is the next right step, eventually we can understand that expansion and we can feel that expansion, both individually and collectively and globally, really. That's so I feel like we're in the middle of that tough spot, where everything looks awful in the world, but we know that is for moving forward to a certain direction, and we may or may not see the end point in our lifetime. But things are changing
things are
big
definitely
time,
changing.
in the process of changing, and we may or may not see massive gun law changes, or we may not see,
Or we will.
well, we're going to see some. We're going to see
Gonna
some.
see
We
it.
already have
It's
seen
gonna,
some.
it's, I'm telling you, the ball is rolling in that
It
direction.
is. It really
I'm
is.
just a little concerned that because the ball is rolling in that direction, people will get, who are against that direction, will get more desperate. Now, before we started, you picked two cards
I
from the
did.
deck. Why don't you,
Okay.
first of all, what deck did you pick?
I used, let me get the box. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. I use a different deck. I don't use this one all the time. Energy Oracle by Sandra Ann Taylor.
Okay.
And it's a beautifully illustrated deck. I love this deck. I don't know why I haven't been using it a lot, but I lately have been. Anyway, we change, you know, you get different guidance on that. So this first card is Storm Warning. And what I feel about this card is that it always, in the news, it always looks like there's a storm coming. It always looks like the next bad thing is about to pop. The next awful weather is about to come. The next climate change is happening. The next shooting is going to happen. I mean, Americans and around the world, people are on the edge of their seat waiting for the next bad thing. Many people are. I'm not, and many people are not as well. But it's a big thing. Like, we're all like, what horror is going to happen next? What storm is going to come? I mean, what's going to shake us up and twist us up and, you know, throw us around? I only picked two cards, and the second card is victory. What's going to happen is we're going to learn, and we're going to heal, and we're going to expand, and we're going to wear the gold crown. We're going to be the victors. Love always wins. Love always wins. The golden energy is often the golden light, or the golden whatever, is often significant, or signifies the presence of the Christ consciousness, or the Holy Spirit, or that part of all that is that comes to us and messages to us and comforts us and loves us. And we are surrounded with so much help, physical and non-physical. And if we can turn to this card is saying to me, when we turn to the non-physical help, and we try to understand who we really are, which is infinite and loving and never ending. And that if one life dies, it comes back and does something else. And we can always connect with whoever we love, no matter where they are in the universe. Love always wins. Energy does not die. And if you notice, this woman is weary.
Yeah.
It was a hard-won victory. It always is a hard-won victory. It's a hard-won victory. She's tired, you know, but she won. And I think that as we start to win, so to speak, it's really not win-lose, but as we start to heal, as we start to overcome, as we start to get to the other side of issues, we sense the bigger meaning. We sense the larger picture. We sense that, my goodness, there really are beings or energies from elsewhere that help us out. And it becomes really apparent. People are really noticing birds, for example, as you so aptly described. I'm hearing people that don't necessarily have a highly developed sense of spirituality, but they talk about the planet in this glorious way, which is fabulous because that's part of it. And they go, oh, the birds, you know what it said to me? Terry talked to me through the birds. I said to Terry, I was sitting on the porch. I love you, Terry. I hope I know you're well, and thank you. And a little something. And she had, all of a sudden, the wind came up, the wind chimes started going, and a few little songbirds came through and started singing like she did. She sang like a bird. She had a beautiful high soprano, gorgeous. She made it. I got one of her CDs that I haven't heard before. I've heard her play, but and sing. So I was just awash with fifth dimensional light that whole weekend until I slammed into my body from being pressed up against too much human flesh. But I needed to get back into my body for a minute and take care of my body and release energy. And that's what tears do. Tears are good for us. Even though it's not always easy or fun, they're good for us. And I got that too. So cry, cry, cry. And then when it's over, know that you are on the road to victory. And no matter what's in front of your face and no matter what situation is happening, yeah, people are going to be, hey, watch out for this and watch out for that. And this is going to happen and that's going to happen. Well, yeah, maybe, but don't take this as seriously as knowing that the end is going to be, you're going to win if you keep at it. Keep putting one illuminated step in front of the other. And the help we have is immense. It's infinite. We don't have to stick with the human version of everything all the time. We do have to exist as humans, feel as humans, do things as humans to some extent, but the more we raise our vibration, the more times we get to be the victor in the upper realms. So
as I ponder those cards that were picked, I do believe that we're moving through a storm.
Oh, yes.
There is a storm. The storm isn't coming. We're in the middle of it. And it is a reminder that we will be victorious through this storm. And it's interesting because in the Tree of Life, in the Kabbalah, the place called Netzach, which means victory, is connected to the planet Venus. And Venus is the planet of love.
Yes.
And so it is true. It is through love. It is through our connection to our hearts. And you know, our hearts are happy, glorious, joyous places. And our hearts can be very, you know, sad, winsome, I think that's the word I want to use, places. And it's all okay. It's all okay. What you're feeling, to feel is to heal.
Yes.
And we all are mourning on a certain level.
Yes. So much. I mean, if we went back even 2 years, we would overwhelm ourselves with all the sad things that have happened, but so much. Vicki, you're frozen, dear. I don't know if you can hear me. You're frozen. I don't know what to do right now. I don't know if I'm still live and Vicki's frozen or if she's talking and I can't hear her. I'm going to give it a minute. In fact, I'm going to call Vicki. I don't know if this is still going, but I'll wrap it up if she doesn't come back. Hang on 1 second. I'm telling her she's frozen. Oh, she's gone. I don't know if I'm recording or not. I am recording. Vicki is lost in Cyberland at the moment. So I'm going to wrap this up. I know she had to go anyway. Hang on a second. I'm going to just tell her I'll finish up. Okay. So I don't know if this is going to be on the air or not, but it doesn't matter because I want to thank you all for listening on behalf of myself and Dr. Vicki. It's always a lovely experience to be here on High Tea and communing with you all. I send you blessings. Oh, she's just sent me a message saying she should be right back. So maybe we won't wrap. We will be wrapping up soon anyway. This was going to be a short one. But until Vicki comes back, I wish you all peace. I wish you all comfort. And if you find comfort in angels when you're sad, do your angel thing, whatever that might be. And if you find comfort in nature, use nature. Nature is so comforting. So much in nature just elevates us and gives us positive ions and heals us. I was in the woods all weekend and oh my gosh, I felt so good. So use whatever works for you. And if you cannot get yourself out of sadness or grief or depression, or any other state of mind that's uncomfortable to you, reach out to Dr. Vicki, reach out to me, reach out to some other person that has skills that can walk with you as you move through this experience, whatever experience it might be. But there's a lot of help in human form, and there's a lot of help in the non-physical forms and the energies in the universe, the universal energies and the universal life force. We connect with yours, connect with Mother Earth, and you're back. Vicki, I don't see you. You say you're back, but I don't see you. Okay. Oh, here she is. Oh, she's coming back. Yay. She should be back any second. I see her picture up.
Hi. Hello, honey.
Hello. Well,
Can you
I've just
hear me?
been entertaining while I've just been giving.
Oh, good, because my internet went down, so that was the
Oh,
problem. But I think I do have another. Hopefully, if my internet stays up, I do have a client that I
I
want to
told
see. But
people that we were going to have to wrap it up soon, so I was sort of doing
you
a
were
recap.
correct. You were correct. All right, honey. Well, we're gonna do this again probably next month.
Okay.
Thank you for joining us, everyone. It's always a pleasure.
Okay. You're frozen again, dear. Always a pleasure. Thank you. And I don't know really what to do because she's the one that started the video. She's going to have to end it. I'll just keep smiling. See my pretty necklace? We love you and we appreciate you for sure. Electronics are so difficult. You are frozen. I'm going to tell her to just shut it down. She already said her lovely goodbye, and I'm going to say mine. Thank you. If you want to reach Dr. Vicki, she's available at www.seedsoftransformation.com. If you ever wanted to reach me, I do readings and channeling and EFT and Reiki and mentorship and all kinds of classes and whatnot. My website's www.onemindspiritualservices.com. Oh, she already signed off. Bye. It says recording, but I'm going to say goodbye and much love and much peace.